Research in the Spotlight, we dive into the atherosclerosis project, a groundbreaking effort to transform acute coronary syndrome treatment, discover its goals and how it promises to enhance patient outcomes. We'll reveal the advantages of a cloud-based clinical decision support system and the critical role of addressing non-culprit lesions in heart health. Finally, explore the project's long-term impact on healthcare. Join us for an insightful episode on the future of cardiovascular treatment. Don't miss it. What has been the primary goal of the atherosclerosis project and how would it improve the treatment of patients with acute coronary syndromes?
In fact, the goal of our project is to improve the prognostic of the patient with acute coronary syndromes. In our hospital, we have a lot of patients with acute coronary disease. In fact, acute myocardic infarction is the main, the most important disease in this category, and we have a lot of patients with this diagnostic here. Our project tried to find a better treatment for our patient, and this is the best benefit for our patient.
How does a cloud-based clinical decision support system work, and what advantages does it offer over the traditional methods?
We tried to find a better solution to take the decision in the real time. And that means we put all that information in the cloud, and in real time the doctor could find a solution in that moment when he need that to do a medical act. This is very important because theoretically we use a lot of catheters to try to find a solution for our patient. Theoretically, this tool, the IE tool, will help us to do that things without those specific materials, that catheters and that special lab tests.
What are non-culprit lesions and why it is important to focus on them in the treatment of acute coronary syndromes?
It's a very good question. Why? Atherosclerotic disease, it's a diffuse disease that involves all the artery in the body. Well, when the patient came with acute coronary syndrome, he had one culprit lesion. That means he connected to acute coronary syndrome. But in the same time, in most of our patients, they have another lesion. And because of that, we have to find a method to treat that lesion in the right time. And this is a very important question for research.
So this is the laboratory where we have worked the genetic part and the inflammatory markers. We have started with the inflammatory markers. They were determined at the beginning, at the inclusion of the patients, and afterwards at 1 year after the revascularization. The inflammatory markers, these are markers that increase generally in patients who have acute coronary syndromes. We have a golden standard marker, a reference. This is the C-reactive protein. And we have also investigated the other two markers that are not very known in literature. And I'm speaking about resistin and the antagonist of the receptor of interleukin-1. We wanted to see if the increase in these markers is correlating in a certain way with the evolution of the patients. These markers are highly elevated in patients at the beginning of the acute coronary syndrome, and afterwards they decrease. If the patients have highly elevated markers, at least one of these two markers, they have a worse prognosis at 1 year. At 1 year, the levels of these markers, they are almost the same like in the general population. So if we want in the future to use these markers, we have to take them as soon as the acute coronary syndrome takes place. This is the first part of the study with the inflammatory markers, and the second one is with the genetics. Here things are more complicated because we have investigating 14 lots. These are some sequences from our genome that are correlated with the increase of acute coronary syndromes. We don't know which genes are correlated with those events, but we are highly investigating these places from the genome, and we will see which of them correlated with the prognosis of the patients at 1 year. What is very important is that is the correlation of those markers. We cannot say that only one marker is correlated with the incidence of acute coronary syndrome, but we can say that multiple markers increase the risk of acute coronary syndrome. So if you have elevated inflammatory markers, maybe you don't have the genetic part. If you have the genetic, maybe you have you don't have the inflammatory part. So what we have tried to do is personalized medicine, to try to include as much as we can from the patient. So we are taking the patient like a whole, from the genetic part, from the genome, and towards the translation of the genome at the level of the body, expressed in those inflammatory markers on one hand, and on the other hand, in what my colleagues have done at the level of the coronary plaques or at the level of the ecography. Also, what was difficult for us was to determine those markers. I'm referring now to the inflammatory markers at the same time, because some patients came to the hospital at 4 hours after the beginning of the acute chest pain, and others they have came at 8 hours. Maybe this difference of 8 versus 4 hours is very important and can influence our elevation in the cytokines. But we have tried in the statistic part to take into consideration also these parameters that maybe can influence, highly influence the results of our study. In what concerns the genetics, we will try also not only to see if there is a certain genotype with the acute coronary syndrome, but also to see what part of that genome is correlated with the inflammatory markers. Maybe we see the same parts, because in the genome we have some parts that are responsible for the cytokine increase, and we want to see if those parts of the genome are the same as those that increase the cytokines, as in the idea that we don't want to include the same markers. Yes, the genetic part and the translation of the genetics at the protein level.
We are here in the cath lab. It is the place, in my opinion, is the center of the project. Here we perform all the invasive actions in this project. We in this lab now, which is also active with some patients, one of them in the project. We perform all the coronary interventions, the heart, the invasive heart interventions, also diagnostic, also to cure the disease inside the grant.
Right now we are in the laboratory of CT, where through non-invasive imagistic modalities we try to assess the coronary artery, such as plaque burden or stenosis or calcium burden within the coronary tree. In the project, we try to assess the non-culprit lesions through the features I just mentioned. We had to have several exams for each patient, so there was one exam that was the first one, which was the baseline, and then 1 year, and maybe we'll have another 2-year evaluation to see how this plaques, this non-culprit lesions evolved, and we'll try to match with the rest of the features, genetic features, clinical features, to see what was the evolution and how we can predict the outcome of the non-culprit lesions involvement.
Can you describe the types of data and assessments that will be integrated into the cloud-based solution?
We tried to put in the cloud all our clinical data in a basic hospitalization, but also because it's a research project, we'll put some specific data connected to coronary hemodynamics and also genetic, epigenetic, inflammation data. All that information goes to artificial intelligence, and that specific tools that we'll develop in our project will help us to improve our treatment in the future.
How does the collaboration between EA Grants and Romania enhance the project's research and development efforts?
First of all, we had in fact a very good relationship with a Romanian partner, in fact Siemens company. We developed in time a very strong connection, and also we have a good collaboration with our Norwegian partners. We try to have periodic meetings, and the relationship it works very well.
What are the potential long-term impacts of the atherosclerosis project on healthcare systems and patient care?
Perhaps is the most important thing in our project. I said before, we tried to develop a tool, an AI tool, to improve our capacity to take the correct decision in real time in the front of the patient with acute coronary syndrome. It's very, very important because it's cost efficiency, and also it's a large benefit for our patients, and perhaps it is the future in medicine.
Thank you for watching Research in the Spotlight, a podcast for scientists and passionate science people made under the EEA Grants Research Program by the Executive Agency for Higher Education, Research, Development and Innovation Funding as program operator. Until the next time, like and share this episode if you think science is our key to a better future.